तो प्रो गिट जो बुक है उसके बारे में हम लोग डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे ये बुक क्या है और इसमें हम क्या क्या इंस्टॉल करेंगे, कैसे इंस्टॉल करेंगे। तो टेबल कंटेंट में बहुत सारी चीज़ें यहाँ पे दी हुई, जैसे कि लाइसेंस प्रीफेस बाइस शॉर्ट चियन, ठीक है। तो हम लोग सबसे पहले देखेंगे लाइसेंस, ठीक है, फिर प्रीफेस बाय स्कॉट चियोकॉन, प्रीफेस ऑफ इंस्टॉप डेडिकेशन कंट्रीब्यूशन इंट्रोडक्शन। तो यहाँ से हम लोग बेसिकली शुरू करेंगे, जो कि है पेज नंबर 8। बाकी ये सब इसका हिस्ट्री है, यानी ये थैंक करेगा अपने वाइफ को, अपने कलीग्स को एंड ऑल। तो थैंक यू नोट बेसिकली इस सारे सेक्शन में, जिसको हम लोग इग्नोर करेंगे। हम लोग पढ़ेंगे पेज नंबर 8 इंट्रोडक्शन से गेटिंग स्टार्टेड अबाउट वर्जन कंट्रोल, शॉर्ट सर्टिफिकेट, व्हाट इज गिट, द कमांड लाइन, इंस्टॉलिंग गिट, फर्स्ट टाइम गिट सेटअप, गेटिंग हेल्प, समरी। तो ये सारी चीज़ों को हम लोग इन डिटेल पढ़ेंगे। और कुछ प्रोजेक्ट भी हैं समरी के बाद। यहाँ तक गिट ऑन द सर्वर, द प्रोटोकॉल गेटिंग गिट ऑन द सर्वर, जनरेटिंग और SSH पब्लिक की कैसे करते हैं, इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है। सेटिंग अप द सर्वर, गिट डीमॉन, फिर स्मार्ट HTTP, गिट वेब, गिट लैब, थर्ड पार्टी होस्टेड ऑप्शंस, इसको भी हम लोग देखेंगे। एंड देन गिट डेमन के बाद हम लोग देखेंगे स्मार्ट HTTP, गिट वेब, गिट लैब, थर्ड पार्टी होस्टेड ऑप्शन, समरी, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर, गिट डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर वर्कफ्लो, कंट्रीब्यूटिंग टू प्रोजेक्ट, मेंटेनिंग प्रोजेक्ट, समरी, गिटहब अकाउंट सेटअप एंड कॉन्फ़िगरेशन, ये भी ज़रूरी है। कंट्रीब्यूटिंग टू प्रोजेक्ट, मेंटेनिंग प्रोजेक्ट, मैनेजिंग एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और स्क्रिप्टिंग गिटहब, ठीक है। इसके अलावा स्क्रिप्टिंग गिटहब के बाद समरी है यहाँ पे। समरी के बाद यहाँ पे गिट टूल्स में आएगा रिविजन, सिलेक्शन, इंटरैक्टिंग, स्टेजिंग, स्टैजिंग एंड क्लीनिंग, साइनिंग योर वर्क, सर्चिंग, रीराइटिंग हिस्ट्री, रीसेट, demystified, advanced merging, rare debugging with digit सब मॉड्यूल्स, बिल्डिंग, रिप्लेस, क्रेडेंशियल स्टोरेज। तो खास बात है कि हम लोग इसको पढ़ेंगे भी और इसको साथ साथ प्रैक्टिकल करने की कोशिश करेंगे पूरे वीडियो में, ठीक है। तो एक 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 इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ होने वाली है। फिर से यहाँ पे आ जाएगी समरी, फिर कस्टमाइजिंग गिट, गिट कॉन्फ़िगरेशन, गिट एट्रीब्यूट्स, गिट हुक्स, एन एग्जांपल ऑफ द गिट इन्फोर्स पॉलिसी, समरी, गिट अदर सिस्टम्स, गिट एज अ क्लाइंट, माइग्रेटिंग टू गिट, समरी और गिट इंटरनल्स के बारे में भी हम लोग डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे, ओके। तो उसके बाद आता है प्लम्बिंग एंड प्रोक्लेम, गिट ऑब्जेक्ट्स, गिट रेफरेंस स्पेसिफाइज, द रेफ एस्पेक्ट्स, ट्रांसफर प्रोटोकॉल्स, मेंटेनेंस एंड डेटा रिकवरी, environment variables, summary, appendix, git on the other environment, graphic interface, get in Visual Studio, get in the Visual Studio Code, get in intelligence, PyCharm, WebStorm, PHP, Ruby, इसमें कैसे यूज होता है इसको पढ़ेंगे। get in the Sublime Text, get in the Bash। तो ये सारी चीज़ों का डिटेल में हम लोग आगे देखेंगे। वैसे ही गिट इन जेटस, गिट इन द पावरशेल। समरी, पावरशेल क्या है, एक विंडोज़ का ही एक कोड एडिटर यानी कंसोल टाइप से ये होता है, ठीक है। एम्बेडिंग गिट इन एप्लीकेशन, कमांड इन गिट, लिगबिट 2, ओके। उसके बाद है जी गिट, गो गिट, डुलविच, अपेंडिक्स सी, गिट कमांड, सेटअप एंड कॉन्फ़िग, गेटिंग क्रिएटिंग प्रोजेक्ट, बेसिक्स, स्नैपशॉटिंग, ब्रांचिंग एंड मर्जिंग, शेयरिंग एंड अपडेटिंग प्रोजेक्ट्स, इंस्पेक्शन एंड कंपैरिजन, यानी उसकी तुलना भी हम लोग करके बाद में देखेंगे। उसी तरीके से यहाँ पे आ जाएगा डिबगिंग, पैचिंग, ईमेल, एक्सटर्नल सिस्टम एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, प्लम्बिंग कमांड्स और फाइनली इंडेक्स जो है पेज नंबर 497 में अवेलेबल है, ठीक है। इसको हम लोग डिटेल में देखेंगे। चलिए अब हम लोग इंट्रोडक्शन देखेंगे पेज नंबर 8 से। लाइसेंस भी है इसका, प्रीफेस है, ये सब हम लोग करेंगे इग्नोर और हम लोग सीधे आएंगे पेज नंबर 8 जो कि इंट्रोडक्शन है। यहाँ पे देखिए कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन किसने किया, उसके नाम है एंड वी आर रियली नॉट इन इंटरेस्ट विद दी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस। तो हम लोग यहाँ पे करेंगे इंट्रोडक्शन से इसकी बिगिनिंग। So you are about to spend several hours of your life reading about the Git. Let's take a minute to explain what we have in store for you. Here's a quick summary of the 10 chapters and 3 appendix of this book. In chapter 1, we are going to cover version control system, VCS, and Git basics. No technical stuff. Just what Git is, why it came about in land full of VCS, yani version control system, what sets it apart, and why so many people are using it. Then we'll explain how to download Git and set it up for the first time if you don't already have it on your system. In chapter 2, we'll go over basic Git uses, how to use Git in the 80% of your case you'll encounter most often. After reading this chapter, you should be able to clone a repository. See what has happened in this history of the project, modify files and contribute changes. If the book spontaneously combusts at this point, you should already be pretty useful building it in the time it takes you to pick another copy. Chapter 3 is about the branching mode in the Git, often described as Git's killer feature. Here is you will learn why truly sets Git apart from the pack. When you are done, you may feel the need to spend a quiet moment pondering how you lived before Git branching was part of your life. ठीक है, तो ये सारी डिटेल्स इसमें दी गई है. चैप्टर 4 में क्या है वो देखते हैं. चैप्टर 4 will cover Git on the server. This chapter is for those who want to set up Git inside your organization or on your own personal server for collaboration. We'll also explore various hosted options if you prefer to let someone else handle that for you. Chapter 5 will go in full detail various distributed workflow and how to accomplish them with Git. When you're done with this chapter, you should be able to work expertly with multiple remote repositories. Use Git over email and definitely just numerous remote branches and contributor patches. Chapter 6 covers the GitHub hosting service and tooling in depth. We cover signing up for managing an account, creating and using Git repositories, common workflow to contribute to project and to accept contributions to yours, GitHub's programmatic interface, and lots of little tips to make your life easier in general. Chapter 7 is about advanced Git commands. Here you will learn about topics like mastering the scary reset command, using binary search to identify bugs, editing history, revision selection in detail, and a lot more. This chapter will round out your knowledge of Git so that you are truly a master. Okay. Similarly, chapter 8, it is about to configuring your custom Git environment. This includes setting up hook scripts to enforce or encourage customized policies and using environment configuration settings so you can work the way you want to. We will also cover building your own set of scripts to enforce a custom committing policy. Chapter 9 deals with the Git another VCS, virtual computer system. This includes Git in Subversion SVN world and converting projects from other VCS to Git. A lot of organizations still use SVN and are not about to change, but by this point, you will have learned the incredible power of Git. And this chapter shows you how to cope if you still have to use SVN server. We also cover how to import projects from several different systems in case you do convince everyone to make the plunge. Okay. Chapter 10 deals into the murky yet beautiful depth of the Git internals. Now that you know all about Git and can wield it with power and grace, you can move on to discuss how Git stores its objects, what the objects model is, details of the pack files, several protocols, and more. Throughout the book, we will refer to the sections of the chapter in case you feel like diving deep at that point. But if you are like us and want to dive into the technical details, you may want to read chapter 10 first. We leave that up to you. In Appendix A, we look at the number of examples of using Git in various specific environments. We cover a number of different GUIs and IDE programming environment that you may want to use Git in and what is available for you. If you are interested in an overview of using Git in your shell, your IDE, or your text editor, takes a look here. In Appendix B, we explored scripting and extending Git through tools like libgit and jgit. If you're interested in writing complex and fast custom tools and need low level Git access, this is where you can see what that landscape looks like. Finally, in Appendix C, we go through all the major Git commands one at a time and review where in the book we covered them and what we did with them. If you want to know where in the book we use any specific Git command, you can look that up over here. Okay, let's get started. So it's 7:53 already. So we'll start and see what details does it carry. This chapter will be about getting started with the Git. We will begin by explaining some background on the version control tools and move on how to get Git running on your system, and finally how to get it set up to start working with. At the end of this chapter, you should understand why Git is around, why you should use it, and you should be all set up to do so. about version control. What is a version control and why should you care? Version control is a system that records changes to a file or set a file over time so that you can recall specific versions later. For the example in this book, you will use software source code as the files being version controlled, though in reality, you can do this with nearly any type of file on a computer. If you're a graphic or web designer and want to keep every version of an image or layout, which you would most certainly want to, a version control system VCC is a very wise thing to use. It allows you to revert selected files back to the previous state, revert the entire project back to a previous state, compare changes over time, see who last modified something that might be causing problem. Okay. Who introduced an issue and when and more. Using the VCS virtual computer system also generally means that if you screw things up or lose files, you can easily recover. In addition, you get all this for very little overhead. Local version control system. Many people version control method of choice is to copy files and run them directly, perhaps a timestamp directly if they are clever. This approach is very common because it is simple, but it is also incredibly error prone. It is easy to forget which directory you are in and accidentally write to the wrong file or copy over files you don't mean to. To deal with this, so programmers long ago developed local VCS that has any version control system that had a simple database that kept all changes to the files under revision control. ठीक है, तो ये भी बहुत ज़रूरी है. So this is the image representation. तो यहाँ पे लोकल कंप्यूटर है, यहाँ पे चेकआउट है, यहाँ पे फाइल है, यहाँ पे वर्जन डेटाबेस है, वर्जन 3, वर्जन 2 and so on. Okay. Version 1. Figure 1, local version control. One of the most powerful VCS tool was a system called RCS, which is still distributed with many computers today. RCS works by keeping patches set, that is the difference between the files in a special format on disk. It can then recreate what any file look like at any point in the time by adding up all the patches. Centralized version control system. The next major issue that people encounter is that they need to collaborate with the developers on other system. To deal with this problem, centralized version control system CVSs were developed. These systems, such as CVS, Subversion, and Perforce, have a single server that contains all the versions files and a number of clients that check out files from the central place. For many years, this has been the standard for the version control. Okay, so what we'll do is decrease the size to some extent so that we can. Ah, yes. तो यहाँ पे शेयर रिपोजिटरी है, डेवलपर डेवलपर डेवलपर, 3 डेवलपर अगर है और इसके साथ शेयर रिपोजिटरी है. Centralized version control. This setup offers many advantages, especially over local VCS. For example, everyone knows to certain degree what everyone else on the project is doing. Administrators have fine-grained control over what who can do what, and it's far easier to administrator CVCs than it is to deal with the local database on every client. However, this setup also had some serious downsides. The most obvious is the single point of failure that the centralized server represents. If that server goes down for an hour, then during that hour, nobody can collaborate at all or save versions changes to anything that they're working on. If the hard disk central database is one become corrupted and proper backups haven't been kept, you lose absolutely everything, the entire history of the project, except whatever single snapshots people happen to have on their local machine. Local VCS suffer from the same problem. Whenever you have the entire history of the project in a single place, you risk losing everything. तो ये एक दिक्कत होता है अगर सर्वर करप्ट हो जाए या वहाँ पे कोई दिक्कत हो जाए. Though distributed version control system. This is where distributed version control system DVCS setup. In the DVCS such as Git, Mercurial, Bazaar, or Darks, client doesn't just check out the data snapshot of the files, rather they fully mirror the repository, including its full history. Thus, if any server dies and the system were collaborating via that servers, any of the client repositories can be copied back up to the server to restore it. Every clone is really a full backup of all the data. Okay. अब यहाँ पे एक डायग्राम रिप्रेजेंटेशन है, इसको हम लोग करेंगे क्लोज टू 100%. ठीक है. ओके. So सर्वर कंप्यूटर वर्जन डेटाबेस वर्जन 3 वर्जन 2 वर्जन 1 और कंप्यूटर में फाइल है, कंप्यूटर में फाइल है, ये भी इससे रिपोजिटरी से डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड है। इसका जो वर्जन है ये सारा कुछ हमें दिख रहा है। इस तरह वी कैन जस्ट तो ये ज़्यादा अच्छा है। थोड़ा सा कम है बट ये पूरे पेज में आ रहा है, तो हम लोग इसको यूज़ करेंगे। ठीक है, इसको हम लोग करेंगे इरेज। ओके, सो ये हम लोग देखते हैं क्या है। Furthermore, many of these systems deal pretty well with having several remote repositories they can work with, so you can collaborate with the different groups of people in the different ways simultaneously within the same project. This allows you to set up several type of workflow that aren't possible in the centralized system such as hierarchical model. A short history of Git. I think we are done. We will read the